Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea, a channel for marriage-minded men. I make videos often about Philippine relationships. I married a woman from the Philippines 10 years ago, but these things could apply to any woman generally. But as far as the Filipina, I've been starting a series about when to stop chatting with a Filipina. And this will be part 2, coming from an article on Psychology Today. And remember, this doesn't necessarily have to be with a Filipina. So remember to subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea. I've got, must be 1,700 videos out there, many more to make. And I think you can learn something from them. Leave a comment also. Let's talk about not having any off-limit topics, not avoiding uncomfortable topics, or just not avoiding getting together and talking. And so the article calls this, you walk on eggshells or duck contact. And that could go either way. And now these thoughts will be mine. Like I said, initially you want to both be civil and not critical when you're meeting somebody for relatively the first time, mostly on camera. But if you want to give a Filipina a chance because you like something about her, but you are uncomfortable talking about certain things, then it may be time to keep looking, or ask yourself why. This video ought to generate some responses from you as we get into the weeds more of relationships with Filipinas, I think more than any other channel in the Philippines scene. Since the foreigner is looking to make a large investment in time and money, and this involves some risk and trust, then there shouldn't be a topic, in my opinion, that is taboo. Pardon me. It's just when I start talking, that's what happens. If he thinks he needs to know, he needs to ask. Same thing with the woman. So let's say the Filipino doesn't want to talk about past relationships, or is hesitant to talk about present or recent ones. That would be a red flag. If he is dying to know something but feels like continuing to pry for that information results in her becoming upset or irritated with him, then I would just move on. I made a recent video about how to ask your Filipina about her sexual past, if that is something you feel important to ask about. And I guess I rubbed one person the wrong way on that one, deleted all their comments. But, you know, I know that's important for some people to talk about the sexual past. If it is, ask away. If he is afraid to ask about her jobs she had in the past because she gets upset, maybe because she hasn't worked at all or didn't go to college and she wants to change the topic, then he might need to really force the issue by saying if she isn't going to be honest with him in answering his questions, then he's just going to move on. Then again, another video I made is about if a Filipino inquires about a man's line of work or how well he can support her financially. I think he should just tell her. If you can't get straight answers, then what's the point of continuing? If you marry her, you're going to be talking about some uncomfortable things now and then. Are you comfortable asking her about past relationships she has had and the other way around? Is she also seeing somebody else now? Remember, you're thousands of miles away, most likely. I understand that when a man wants to close the deal on a woman from the Philippines, who many who watch this channel are interested in, he might tend to avoid topics that make her uncomfortable. I just think that's a bad idea. Now, here's several eggshell topics. Recently, a friend of mine told his girlfriend in the Philippines that she shouldn't expect to be making return trips back home to the Philippines unless it is when a family member is seriously ill. And I'm sure many other men have said the same. She likely has absolutely no idea how far away she is living at the time, and likely doesn't know that money isn't just handed out unless you are an illegal immigrant. This is supposed to be funny. So this is something that was important to him, and he was very open and upfront about it. And hopefully she doesn't say something like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then kind of realizes she made a mistake and really would like to go back every now and then. Another thing, is it a terrible idea to be upfront about the topic of sexual intimacy? I don't think so. Who knows what she is expecting, and she doesn't know what he is expecting. I remember one time I talked to a guy this 20 years ago. He'd been married a year, still hadn't consummated the marriage, and I found out from his wife that she was taught that sex was dirty, and so she wasn't going to have sex with her husband. I certainly hope that ended up better than it was going. So another one I think you have to not avoid is children, having a baby. Are you going to start a family together? Why did it get quiet here? I hear crickets. She's going to learn to drive. I know the baby is a big issue. What about learning to drive? You're going to teach her how to drive, aren't you? And she wants to work. You're going to let her work, aren't you? How about if she wants to get some schooling? How about that? What if she wants to have, and she will want to have, some younger friends, if she's a younger woman, about her age? So I know that makes some guys uncomfortable, but what do you expect? You know, if she's 28 years old, I mean, she's likely wants some friends about that same age, and a lot of guys consider them dangerous because they don't trust what they would tell, his wife. And I almost forgot to talk about financially supporting the family, which I think her husband should do after considering how to work this out along with his wife. But even before that, there could be some tension talking about this. It is possible she won't even ask about it, but it'll come up eventually. It's possible, like my wife did when we were engaged, quickly on only day 18, that she didn't need money from me. That's what she's always maintained. She doesn't want my money. And after we got married 10 years ago, I insisted she accept my help, but she still resisted that, wanting to prove to me that, she didn't marry me for that. This topic of discussion might be the one that concerns men the most, helping financially. So her family. Now, if she works, she can support her family and do all kinds of other things that she wants to do. And the other part of this ducking contact, which I suppose is because one or the other wants to avoid talking about something, so they just aren't available. They're just going to, avoid meeting, I guess. So if let's say she goes AWOL for 3 or 4 days, perhaps she did get sick, but even then, telling you that she doesn't feel like talking, but certainly will when she feels better, that could be true, or she could just be stalling if she doesn't want to talk about something, so she just makes it harder for her and you to get together. Only time will tell. You have to listen to your gut feelings here, but it's a good idea to share anything you are suspicious of with someone you trust. Don't hide this relationship as if you're ashamed of it, which you shouldn't be. And maybe he'll validate you, or they'll tell you you're being insecure and there isn't anything to worry about. And I think it's possible she will give you the I love you line to avoid answering uncomfortable questions, just to back you off, maybe keep you in tow. As I've said repeatedly, after you've been married several years, then you can evaluate whether love exists. Before that, I would just ignore it. I don't put any stock into someone saying they love someone under a very long distance relationship situation. I believe real love begins sometime after marriage, maybe even a long time, if it occurs at all. So how's that for ending a video? Stay tuned for part 3 coming up of when to stop chatting with a Filipina here on Love Beyond the Sea.